So for those of you who expected Amarendra to be speaking today, I had a conversation with him on Monday, and I said, well, I did the Brahmanas, and you get to do the Kshatriyas on Wednesday. And then he got in touch with me. I guess he didn't want to do the Kshatriyas. Got in touch with me later and said, I can't do the class. So one way or another, I get to complete the whole array of visitors at the Rajasuya sacrifice, at least all the invitees. I got one here. That's good. And let me get this. Not going. All right, we'll just scroll. Oh, here it is. 10 and 11. All right, so, and there's no board today, so everybody's on their own with their own machine. Just put it there. 10 and 11. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari 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 Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dari Yasodanandana Raja Jana Ranjana Yasodanandana Raja Jana Ranjana Yasodanandana Raja Jana Ranjana Yasodanandana Raja Jana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dari Yasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yasodanandana Yasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Madhava Jaya Bihari Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jayom Vishnupad Paramahansa Pavrikacharya Saterasada Shri Srimad Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Anantakoti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Premsika Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Dvaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivedanta Ki Jai Jai Radha Krishna Gopa Gopanath Shai Makunda Radhakunda Giri Gaurani Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Mayapur Navadip Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Srimati Tulsi Devi Ki Harinam Sankirtan Ki Priyat Mridanga Ki Samaveda Bhaktivinda Ki Gaur Premanandi all glories to the assembled devotees all glories to the assembled devotees all glories to the assembled devotees all glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya So we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 74, and this is verses 10 and 11. I'll chant number 10. Upahutas tata chanye Drona Bhishma Kripadaya Dhritarashtra Sahasutta Vidurascha Mahamati Upahutas tatachanye Drona Bhishma Kripadaya Dhritarashtra Sahasutta Vidurascha Mahamati Upahutas tatachanye Drona Bhishma Kripadaya Dhritarashtra Sahasutta Vidurascha Mahamati Upahutas tatachanye Drona Bhishma Kripadaya Dhritarashtra Sahasutta Dhritarashtra Mahamati Upahutas tatachanye Drona Bhishma Kripadaya Dhritarashtra Dhritarashtra Upahutastatachanye Drona Bhishma Kripadaya Dhritarashtra Okay, I'll chant the second verse. Brahmana Kshatriya Vaishya Shudra Yagna Didrikshava Tatreya Sarvarajano Ragnam Prakritayo Nirpa Upahuta invited Tata also Cha and Anye others Drona Bhishma Kripadadaya headed by Drona, Bhishma, and Kripa. Dhritarashtra and Dhritarashtra. Sahasuta together with his sons. Vidura, Vidura. Cha and Mahamatihi, greatly intelligent. Brahmana Kshatriya Vaishya Sudra. Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras. Yagna, the sacrifice. Didrikshava, eager to see. Tatra, there. Ayu, came. Sarva, all. Rajana, kings. Ragnam, of the kings. Prakritaya, the entourages. Nirpa, O king. Translation by the disciples of Srila Prabhupada. O king, others who were invited included Drona, Bhishma, Kripa, Dhritarashtra with his sons, the wise Vidura, and many other Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras, all eager to witness the sacrifice. Indeed, all the kings came there with their entourages. Quite a big crowd. O king, others who were invited included Drona, Bhishma, Kripa, Dhritarashtra with his sons, the wise Vidura, and many other Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras, all eager to witness the sacrifice. Indeed, all the kings came there with their entourages. Okay, so Jiva Goswami and Sanatana Goswami have almost identical tikas, but Sanatana Goswami's has a little more detail. So I will read from Sanatana Goswami's tika. Sending Nakula to Hastinapur as approved by Krishna, he invited other sages, such as Drona. Others invited were Balika and Somadatta. The sons of Dhritarashtra were Duryodhana and others. The first members listed were most exalted at the sacrifice. Vidura was skilled at accounting for goods dispensed. Tatra Vyavikaras Chastid Vidura Sarva Dharma Vit. Vidura, knower of Dharma, was a dispenser of funds. Sarva Dharma Vit means he knew all the procedures of charity according to time, place, and recipient, or was fixed in bhakti to the Lord. Brahmanas and others from other states gathered to see the sacrifice. They came on their own or were invited by messengers. On the order of Yudhisthira, Sahadev said to the messengers, Invite Brahmanas and Kshatriyas also. Bring respectable Vaishyas and Shudras. The ordinary Kshatriyas by birth were there. Kings were special. All their ministers were also there. Shukadev calls to Parikshit in joy or amazement. Oma Gyana Tamarandasya Gyanan Gyanan Shalakaya Chakshu Unminitangyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Bistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pasaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamanitanamani Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharni Nirvasesa Shunyavadi Praschachadeshtrani Vanchakalpa Trubhischa Kripa Sindhavyevacha Patitanam Pavanevya Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Shri Dvaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Sometimes we've seen in the pictures from Krishna book, because we're moving towards Shishupal's liberation, aka decapitation. And the pictures depict a very large hall with lots and I mean, it's very crowded. And there's the sages and the brahmanas. But if that's the case, that was the inner hall. In order to accommodate the rest of the persons and the people and the personalities invited to this sacrifice, is practically like a whole football stadium. I mean, we're talking thousands upon thousands upon thousands of persons being invited to this sacrifice. And after all, it's an important sacrifice because Yudhisthira is being crowned the emperor of the whole world. Some interesting things to note here. That Nakula was sent to Hastinapur, and that was approved by Krishna. Now, this is in the course of the story of the fight between the Pandavas and the Kauravas. This is when actually Dhritarashtra had a change of heart and said, let's divide the kingdom in half and give the Pandavas their just, what they deserve. And of course, that was done very reluctantly by Duryodhana and his brothers, and they gave them Kandava Prastha, which was really a reject area of land. So, sort of like, well, take this wasteland. But Kandava Prastha was the Kandava forest was there, and at one point Agni wanted to eat something. He was very hungry, and so he wanted to burn down the forest, and Arjuna had to make sure that that the actual deed could be done, because Agni was always being frustrated in his attempts. And in the whole process, several people escaped, and one of them was Mayadanava. He was allowed to escape. And Mayadanava, he's a Danava, he's a demon, but he's also was asked by Krishna, he asked Krishna, what can I do to repay you? And Krishna said, well, how about building a beautiful city here? And so on Kandava Prastha was built Indraprastha, which was greater than Hastinapur. So the envy that is seething within the hearts of the Kauravas is here. I mean, they're coming, and it's interesting to note that they sent out the challenge horse. It was every king had to like pay tribute to Yudhisthira. And Jarasandha wouldn't do it, so they had to kill him specially. But it seems that Duryodhana and company reluctantly, submitted to Yudhisthira being the emperor. Of course, they had their plans, and they were going to undo that as soon as they could. but not by honest means, because they were essentially quite dishonest. Another interesting point is that we have Vidura. If we go back to the beginnings of the family, we had actually Maharaj Shantanu and Satyavati. They have children, and Vichitravirya and Shatrugna. Anyway, he had the same name as a Gandharva, so he was killed, and then Vichitravirya was too sick, and therefore had no issue, and then there had to be a whole big drama of how the line would go on, and eventually it was agreed upon that Vyas would come and father children, and Ambika. Now remember, Amba's already gone, because Amba's so angry she's trying to find a way to kill Bhishma later on. But so Ambika and Ambalika, they're the two princesses, and the first time that Vyas comes, Ambika is so like, she didn't want to look at him. So Dhritarashtra was born blind, and then Ambika keeps her eyes open, but she's so afraid that Pandu's born pale and sort of weakly in some ways. The third child is born not of either of the princesses, but of the maidservant, who actually was quite more advanced in consciousness, and Vidura was the offspring. So Vidura, who is essentially like, the son, a Dasi Putra, a sort of illegitimate personality. I mean, according to family lineage. He's the most exalted. In fact, he's the incarnate. He's actually Yamaraj. And there's a whole story behind that, too. Yamaraj gets cursed by Manduka Muni because Yamaraj had been overly strict about a transgression Manduka Muni previously done in a previous life, and in his life earlier. And so he was cursed to become the son of a Shudra. So Vidura, though, is the most advanced of everyone. Pandu, he's gone because he had lusty desires, and he couldn't fulfill those desires without dying, and so he did. That's another curse. Lots of curses go along here in the ancient days. Trichaganda, thank you. Anyway, I saw it before, and I just didn't trip off my lips too well. Any case, and then you had Dhritarashtra, who's blind, and he's even if he had any good intentions, he's completely overwhelmed by his family attachment for his sons, who are all bad. They all have names: Dushasana, Duryodhana. I don't know the rest of them, but anytime you meet anybody in the Vedic literature who the name starts with Durvasa Muni, etc., they're not good, because that means some sort of malefic intent. So in any case, we have Vidura, who's like the shining star of the family, and it's stated here that Vidura, because he was a knower of Dharma, he was in charge of all the funds. In other words, this took a lot of money, a lot of wealth to put on this sacrifice, and the one they could depend on was Vidura. They couldn't depend on Duryodhana and team, and Yudhishthira and his brothers, for whatever reason, they deferred to Vidura because Vidura was trustworthy. He was the most trustworthy of all. And in fact, Vidura's position in the entire dispute between the families is that he keeps the distance and gives advice fairly to everyone. And even at the expense of his being ejected from the palace, because Duryodhana didn't want to hear what he was telling his father, good advice, because Duryodhana had, as I said, ill intentions from the first. So we're actually talking about here is a very tense situation. although it's a joyous time, and although it's a wonderful situation for King Eustace, for Emperor Eustace, it's part of a very, very messy family dynamic because of the envious nature of the Kauravas, and also even the Pandavas. They have their issues in the sense that Bhima, he always has to have his anger being curbed because he's ready to kill these offensive people. He's overly enthusiastic about about using his strength, and as we see later in the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna, he maintains family attachment even to the point of being unable to fight the battle for righteousness, so that the Pandavas, they have a tendency to be so righteous, or in the case of Bhima, so much eager to be righteous in a sort of over the top way, that they also they're part of the dynamic, even though they're pious and moral and exalted devotees. It's agitating to the other side. And in the case of Arjuna, he becomes agitated so much that he doesn't even want to engage in doing Krishna's work, because Krishna is trying throughout the entire story here to make sure that the Pandavas are given the proper place, which is they are the pious, righteous, good half part of the family. So family dynamics are difficult. Family attachment is difficult. And it causes a lot of friction. We see that. So now, thinking about this family attachment, we're seeing it here in the story, and we're seeing how it's going to be played out in the assembly hall when Krishna has to step in and just put an angry family element, that is Shishupal, in his place. So we see this here play out before us. But this isn't something unusual, because family dynamics and family dysfunction and family problems are there in the material world. And they become sometimes big impediments to one following Krishna consciousness. After all, we've heard Bir Krishna Maharaj talk about a number of times about the fact that Indian families are very, very attached to their sons, and therefore, even though they may be Vaishnavas, at least officially so, sort of like Raghunath Das Goswami's father and uncle, nice Vaishnavas, give money, but what did Lord Chaitanya say? Well, he didn't have a real high assessment of them. He called them it was a joke because they were friends. Worms and stool, that if you take them out, they'll crawl back in. So this family attachment is strong, and it can actually be an impediment for becoming Krishna conscious. But at the same time, we understand from the lives of great acharyas that the family can also be an asset. So I wanted to actually take some of Srila Prabhupada's own words here and talk about family attachment. And the first one, this is from a class he gave in New Vrindavan in 1976. It's from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 6, in verse number 8. And Prabhupada begins, generally, people become too much attached to family life. I sometimes say that in the Western countries, the young boys, they came to Krishna consciousness. Their only one great asset is that they are not family-wise attached. That is a very good qualification. Some way or other, they have become detached. Therefore, their attachment to Krishna is becoming staunch. In India, they have got organized family attachment. They are not interested. They are after money now. That I've experienced. Yes. So family attachment is the greatest impediment in the matter of advancing in Krishna consciousness. But if the whole family is Krishna conscious, that is very nice. So this is the whole point, that we're trying to develop a nice family here in New Goloka. Family that isn't just by bondage by bonded blood or biological, but it's a family of like-minded souls who are serving Krishna. And therefore, that sort of family, as Prabhupada will go on to describe, is very advantageous. Just like Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He was a family man, but all of his family, his wife, his children, and the best of the children is our Guru Maharaj, best child. So he has sung by his experience, Ye Dina Grihe, Bhajanandeki Grihete, Goloka Bhaya. If family-wise everyone is engaged in Krishna's service, that is very nice. That is not ordinary family. That is not ordinary family. That attachment is not ordinary attachment. But generally, people are attached materially. That is condemned here. Shesham griheshu shaktasya pramatasya apayatihi. They are called pramata. Everyone is thinking, my family, my wife, my children, my nation, my community. That is everything. What is Krishna? This is the greatest illusion imposed by Maya, but this is the greatest illusion imposed by Maya. And we see that. We go back to the story. Look how incredibly in Maya Dhritarashtra is, and how incredibly in Maya Duryodhana are. They are in an association of Krishna directly, and they don't get it, because I want my son to be the king, and I want to be, and in the case of the son, I want to be my father really should have been king. He was blind, so he couldn't be king, therefore he lost his position. And I'm so envious of my 5 very Krishna conscious, or we would say, in this case, he would think, so pious and morally correct cousins, that I'll go to war for it. I'll destroy things for it. So this family attachment is imposed by it's the greatest impediment if it's not Krishna conscious. Then Prabhupada says, but nobody will be able to give you protection in the family. Everything will be finished. Nobody can give us protection except Krishna. If we want to be freed from the clutches of Maya, Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi, free from the clutches of the Maya, which are Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi, birth, death, old age, and disease, we must take shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna through the spiritual master and live with devotees who are engaged themselves for the same purpose. What is saktasya paramatasya? Anyone who is, all the karmis, they are attached to this family life. But family life is good provided there is Krishna consciousness. Grihe va vanate take, he goranga bole dake. It doesn't matter. Either he's in family life or he's in sannyasi life. If he's a devotee, then his life is successful. So this is the message here of Prabhupada and our acharyas, that our life will be successful if we take what can be the worst thing and use it in the service of Krishna. That's that's using Rupa Goswami says that's renunciation. I just forgot. It's renunciation. The phrase, I just forgot it. Anyway, we'll go on. And it'll come back to me later. It's the old mind here. Okay, now the next thing Prabhupada writes here, or speaks, very important, on the same topic. This is another lecture. This was given in 1970. One of the last lectures he gave publicly, Bhuvaneshwara, January 23rd, 1977. Kibra Vipra, Kibra Shudra, Nyasi, Kani Noi, Ye Krishna Tattva Veda, Se Guru Hoy. You become a sannyasi, Yukta Vairagi, that's the word I was looking for. Yukta Vairagi, using the family attachment to serve Krishna. That's real renunciation, Yukta Vairagi. You become a sannyasi, or you become a grahastha, or you are a brahmana or a shudra. The Krishna consciousness has nothing to do with these material things. If you know actually what is Krishna, then you can become a guru. Plug for certain types of guru issues today. If you actually know what is Krishna, then you can become guru. Another place also, Krishna, Lord Chaitanya has said. He says Krishna, and then he says, oh, Lord Chaitanya has said, Ye bhaje se bada abhakta hina chara, Krishna bhajane te nahi jati kuladi vichara. This is from Ancha 467. Anyone who is a devotee, he is great. And who is not a devotee, he may declare himself as great, but he is the most fallen. Unquote. In the devotional service, there is so much distinction. There is no such distinction as jati and kula. Jati means family, lineage, and kula, in most cases, means a grouping. Like Gurukula is a group of students going to the school of the guru. So he says there's no such distinction of what your family is, your group. So if you follow the example of your country, Ramananda Roy, then wherever you are exalted. Narottam Das Thakur, he means vanaprastha, sannyasi. Wherever he may be, if he's actually a perfect devotee of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I want his association. Never mind. Grihe va vanate take he goranga bale dake naratama mage tara sangha. It doesn't matter what the person's status in life is. We're looking to see whether or not we're associating with someone who's Krishna conscious. So Krishna bhajan is so magnanimous, so exalted. In any position, you can become the greatest guru, provided you follow the footsteps of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He says how one can become perfect. Manmana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskaru. Offer our mind, offer our obeisances, offer everything to Krishna. Full surrender. It's the only verse that's said twice. Manmana bhava mad bhakto. At the end of the 9th chapter and the end of the 18th chapter. 4 things, and he probably never gets to the 4 things here, but because he gets sidetracked in something else. But the 4 things. Simply think of Krishna. This is the one thing that he starts expanding on. Simply think of Krishna. The chanting of Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So you remain Grihastha. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has said, Namashrayakari Takaha Apanakaje. In whatever occupation you are, remain there. There's no need of changing. But Namasrayakari, if you remain a Grihastha, what is your namaskuru? Mam evaishasi asamshaya. These 4 things you will get back to home, back to Godhead. What is that? Simply think of Krishna. But if from the very beginning you want to understand the meaning of Krishna, and then he goes on to say, if in the very beginning you start going through philosophy and trying to understand how Krishna is not Nirakara. He has no hand, no leg. And he starts talking about getting into nonsense philosophical arguments. Then it'll be very difficult to be Krishna conscious, he says. Then he goes on to say, after all this saying that, don't get into this nonsense philosophy, he says, Kali Yuga, the special advantage is that people cannot become very much advanced in spiritual life. But for Kali Yuga, there is a special concession. Kalo nasteva gasneva gacharanyata. Harinama, Harinama, Harinama eva kevala. Kalo nasteva gacharanyata. And then he says, and Srimad Bhagavatam, it is confirmed, Kirtaniya eva Krishnasya mukta sangha param vrajet. And this is a verse from the 12th canto, and it says that Kali is an ocean of faults. There's nothing good about this age. I mean, you go back to the time when we were talking about Maharaj Yudhishthira doing his Rajasuya. Okay. There's some good there. The Pandavas are really, they're pure devotees. And there's personalities like Bhishma. He's conflicted, but he's a pure devotee. And there are other great personalities. And even there are great brahmanas and sages. Look at the list of sages the other day. There are great personalities. And there is, the dark side there, the Kauravas. But it's not the whole thing. Today, it's all the dark side. It's either, outright demons trying to control the world, or Shudras, or less than Shudras, who just don't know what's going on, and they simply want to, day by day, they're like the donkey. They get the grass in front of them, and they're walking for the grass and doing their work. And they don't know anything. So this age of Kali it's ocean of faults. But the one great dispensation is that we have the Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Now Prabhupada has some very interesting. So you remain a grihastha. It is now difficult to give up grihastha life. I mean, look, I was supposed to take sannyasa when I was 50. I kind of missed it by 25 years. So you remain grihastha. Now it is difficult to give up grihastha life. But don't be merged in this black hole. Don't make the black hole tragedy. Be alive. Take to Krishna consciousness, and you'll be happy. So there is a distinction in Krishna bhajan. So there is no distinction in Krishna bhajan, whether one is a grihastha or a sannyasi. He must take the science. Then he will be all right. So we'll be all right if we simply take up Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement and chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And we'll continue with this grand description of the Rajasuya sacrifice. It goes on and on and on. Of all what a huge event. That's another 10 verses or so of just describing just the setup. I mean, we think our Janmashtmis are a big deal here, but we're talking about a really big sacrifice. Hare Krishna.
Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Enam Kanvanda Maravindanalaya Taksham Varhavatam Samasitam Buddhasundarangam Kandar Kako Vidamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasa Sakalen Kriya Priti Manti Pasyanti Panti Kayanti Chiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami 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 Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Namaha Vishnupataya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Samviniti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prajane Nivasesha Shunyavati Masyajade Zatarane Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaurata Prana Shri Krishna Nirana Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasari Go about the Brahma Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasari Gaurabhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Dharma Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Nayurad, Hagalokananarad, Hagalokananadragate. Nayurad, Hagalokananadragate. Nayat, hey, Radhe, Radhe, Nayat, hey. Nayo, Radhe, Radhe, Radhe. Nate. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahans.
This Saturday at 5 points, we'll be going out in Harinam Sankirtan between 5 and 7. There's a lot of events in Durham on Saturday evening, so it should be very, very good crowd out there. 5 to 7 at 5 points on Saturday. Chaitodarpanam marjanam bhava mahadavagni nirvapanam shreya kairavya chandrika vitaranam vidyavadu jivanam Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam Pratipanam Purnamrita Swadanam Sarvatma Snapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatrapita Niyamita Smaranena Kala Etadrishita Vakripa Bhagavan Mamapi Durdaiva Midrishami Hajjanina Anuraga Trinada Pisu Nichena Tarora Pisu Hishuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadari Nadanam Najanam Nasundar. Oh, thank you. Manadisha Kamaye Mama Janmini Janmini Ishvare Bhavatad Bhaktir Ahoitaki Twai Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Mam Vishameva Ambudao Kripayata Vapada Pankaja Stita Duli Sadrachim Vachintaya Nainam Galashu Daraya Vadanam Gad Gadarudaya. Thank you. Tavanama Grahane Bhavishyati Yuga Yatam Namishena Chakshusha Bhavashayata Shunayatam Jagat Sarvam Govindam Virahename Ashlishava Padamratam Anastumam Adarshanam Marmahata Karotuva Yatatava vidadatu lampato mat pranatastu sa eva napara. Victory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. O my Lord, congregational chanting of your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you've invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw on the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth. O Son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up? And when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? O Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so, even if he handles me roughly by his embrace or makes me brokenhearted by not, He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he's always my worshipful Lord unconditionally.
Okay, so Radharangani dressed the deities this morning, and nice color combinations, nice flowers, and Krishna's enjoying mangoes. It's mango season. Mango season, dressed very beautifully. I mean, all the devotees here dress the deities. There's so much bhakti. You can see that Radha and Krishna are always smiling. If you go into temples where the devotees are not taking such good care of the deities, deities don't smile. You can actually see the difference. Radharani has a very sweet smile, and Krishna is very tricky. Oh, they pour the concrete. Yeah. So it's there to stay.